Welcome to the Wisdom Check by Tabletop to Keyboard. This is going to be our bi-weekly podcast where we discuss things such as Dungeons and Dragons. Actually, I think maybe we need to turn up my mic a little bit, guys. How about some more game? More game. This is the Wisdom Check. This is the intro to end all intros. Talk about Dungeons, Dragons, and
Now, I don't think that's proper. This is a family show after all. This is the intro we can use, fellas. It's good, clean fun for everyone. Welcome to the Wisdom Check, where we have wholesome conversations about the dilemmas we face every day.
Nah, hold on a second. I got your intro right here. Yeah, that's better. Welcome to the Wisdom Check. Well, I'm right, Jeff's wrong. We're going to have guests on to talk about it. It's going to be awesome, because I said so.
He is right. He did say so. I don't know. Is surf music the best music for a podcast about D&D?
Fuck yeah.
Okay.
This just in, nobody can agree on our intro for this podcast. So we're just going to start. Welcome to the Wisdom Check. Roll for initiative. Fuck. A 1. It's like every time.
Hey, there we go. Awesome.
I think we are live. All right. Welcome, everyone, to the Wisdom Check. Sorry for the technical difficulties. I am Dustin, as usual, here on the Wisdom Check. Over there with me, as usual, is Jeff. And today we are joined by Turkie from the Grouch Couch. So if you want to go ahead and give everyone a good hello there, Turkie.
Hello. I am Turkie.
Hello there.
Yeah, but you guys can call me Turkie.
Turkie.
That's all I got. Yeah.
Okay. This is going to be looking forward to it.
So for people who maybe aren't familiar with you guys yet, tell us a little bit about how you got started with the Grouch Couch just in general. Then we'll get into your D&D experience.
Oh, D&D stuff. Okay, so we got started doing YouTube about a year ago. We were all drinking late one night, and I was like, dude, let's do YouTube. I have a name. We'll be the Grouch Couch. And then everybody was like, yes, let's do that. So then like the next week we just started building and recording, and like everything just started. So it started from one like small little drunken idea, you know, like whenever you're like hanging out with your friends and you're all like trashed and you're like, we should start a band. So it was like that, but we actually followed through with it. Right. And so, yeah, and a bunch of us are in chat right now. So hello,
you
guys.
You guys are representing in there right now. I can see them. So
Yeah, we got all kinds of new people up
now.
here.
Is there an actual couch that is the Grouch Couch?
We had this beat up, stained, nasty looking brown couch. And we still have it outside, but at this point it's like sunbaked. And we used to sit on it in the beginning, like our first season's worth of videos, but like it looked so nasty on camera. Like it was not good looking. It was bad. And we're like, okay, we got to get a new couch. So then we seen this post on Facebook. These people were giving away a free black couch. And so we went and just grabbed it. Now we have a black couch instead of a brown one. That's how that happened.
So the logo, the sad emoji face, that is a perfect description, huh? Man,
yeah. The couch was mad.
Thank you, buddy.
Zilla coming in with the cheer and the sub. Thank you for Zilla.
Yeah. Fruitzilla.
Getting off to a good start there.
It is.
Yeah.
Heck yeah, coolness. Well, dude, I'm happy to be here. As everyone knows, like we're in a stream team now, which is super cool. Yeah. We're all just trying to help each other and stuff. And yeah, I'm super happy to be here. I've been looking forward to this for a little while, and I know everyone's like, "What? When are you going to be on the Wisdom Check?" Like we talk about it all the time. So this is super cool for this like finally to be happening. It's almost like a surreal thing, like you know.
Well, we're happy to have you, man. It's been an interesting journey. I think, everybody that kind of gets out into this world, kind of comes into it in their own way. And, it can feel like you're out there doing your own thing, trying to figure it out. And, it's good coming together, meeting other people and, sharing experiences. So
absolutely. I think that like people need to rise together. You know what I mean? By ourselves, we wouldn't be able to do everything we do. So like teaming up together is like the way to do it. Right. 100%. So
And I was kind of talking a little bit about it before stream. Like, I think at face value, if you were to watch our 5e game and watch you guys back to back, you'd be like, well, those are an odd couple to end up on a stream team together, right? Like, it looks like night and day difference between our two kinds of games. But really, when you break it down, though, we really are not that different. Like, we're both a group of friends that were friends first and then decided to start doing content together and streaming. We're both playing, a 5e homebrew game. We're both decided to take our game and just put it online for other people to enjoy. And so when you really break it down, like, our groups really have quite a bit in common.
Absolutely.
Half of our group doesn't drink at all. Your group drinks pretty much the whole time you're on stream, and it's pretty awesome watching it all go down. So I mean, but that's about where the line draws. Very tech oriented actually. When you get down to it, like, you guys are full costume, full role play. We do a lot of role play. We don't do costumes, but we do a lot of role play ourselves. So I think there's a lot of similarities. Like, when you really break it down and start thinking about it and looking at what's actually going on. So.
Mm-hmm. I think the biggest part of all of us becoming a stream team, like, in my idea of the whole thing, was just how positive everyone is. So, like, I didn't want to bring people into this whole thing that were like, like negative, or like people that, holy, he's gifting 5.
He did that last week too. Sorry. So Fruitzilla's the man. He's pretty awesome like that. So he just gifted another 5 subs to us.
Wow, dude,
much appreciated, man.
Well, the crap. Yeah, thank you. That's super rad. Keeping that hype going. Yeah. So the whole thing was just about positivity, and I wanted to bring people in who had an actual drive to go forward and keep creating and just doing things better, right? So everyone I brought in, and there's other people that are like, dude, that's super cool. Can I be a part of your stream team? And I'm like, well, I don't really know you. I don't know what you.
Yeah.
And for the majority of all of us, we've been doing this for like a long time, so it's not like something we picked up and then just stopped doing. Because I see it a lot on Twitch. People will stream for like every day for 2 months and then just not for a year.
Yeah, people burn themselves out pretty hard.
And now, if you haven't checked out the other people that are currently partnered with us in the stream team, Air Laser is currently in chat right now.
Yeah,
she plays D&D with her group also. I haven't been able to catch as much of her as I want to. But the other, who I haven't seen in here yet, hopefully he does show up at some point, the Liching Hour. That dude has some real unique content. If you haven't watched the Liching Hour, it's a really insanely cool stuff that he does. Yeah. So I'm pretty excited to get a chance to talk with him.
Like, face paint stuff and like all kinds of stuff. Yeah, like it's like he does like full on, like, he looks like a lich. If you don't check out his YouTube videos,
it's pretty cool.
We want him to do an intro for our second campaign, our season 2 on Twitch. Like, we want him to do an intro for us, and we're trying to work it out where he does like his cool voice acting thing. Like, it's so dope. Like, and I was like, because I do graphics or whatever. So I was like, we're part of this team. I'll do graphics for you. And he was like, no, it's okay. I just really want to do it. And I was like, oh, well, sweet, man. Thank you. Like, it's super tight. Hopefully he does show up. I don't know what his schedule is, but I guess we'll see.
Yeah, I don't really know what his activity schedule is yet. I've caught him a couple of times live, but it's been interesting to see the different kinds of content he does. Board games. He'll do an entire role play session, like basically solo, where he just does all the different characters himself. Like, it's really kind of impressive. Like, it's kind of like a sort of storytelling sort of deal he does. It's kind of, but so anyway, yeah, we got this stream team thing started up, and we do have links for them down there in the panels if people out there do want to check them out, and I highly advise that you do. To get back a little bit here to what the Grouch Couch is doing, like, one of the big differences, and we're going to kind of maybe tackle our topics in the opposite order we originally proposed them, but you guys have taken the idea, I think, of this streaming and your Dungeons and Dragons games, and have really pushed the envelope more than probably any other stream I watch. And I watch close to probably 15 different streams a week, play Dungeons and Dragons or some other tabletop RPG that I juggle around through. And nobody pushes audience activity the way you guys do, like, not to your level. We have one other group that I do watch, Getting Dicey. We had them on a couple months ago. They do a fair amount of audience interaction, but nothing to the extent that you guys do. So why don't you talk a little bit about how you guys approach audience participation?
Whenever we first came up with the idea to stream Dungeons and Dragons on Twitch, I was like, okay, well, the first thing is that we have to have good quality, because a lot of people will just set up a camera somewhere high and not even pay attention to chat and just play Dungeons and Dragons. And I don't know what the point of that is, like, just so people could watch them or something, but I really wanted to be like face cam, like you could see our faces, we're talking directly to you, you're involved, we're in costume. And the number 2 was like, I want people to be involved. Even Alan Fluffy, our old DM, the one who DM'd for the first season, was like, we need to do like a crowd thing. Like people need to be involved. We came up with our intro where you can have an influence on this story, because when I'm watching a D&D campaign, like I'm like, you should do this or you should do that. I can't tell them, they won't listen, like because they don't have some kind of thing set up for the people involved to actually be involved. Like, just watching, you are a part of this. Like we're in this drunken haze campaign together and we're going to, do this together. So when every week we're trying to come up with new ways to be able to, influence that whole thing. I think the cards we do, the deck of many things. I don't know if you know what that is, but we brought that in and it's been so much fun. Like that was like a big turning point for our crowd, bringing stuff in and stuff. Cause it's also not even crowd. It's also like chance,
Right.
It's super cool.
For the audience here that may not have seen that before, can you go in a little bit detail onto the deck of many things situation?
So the deck of many things is a deck that you shuffle and draw from, and it has all different kinds of effects, the cards that happen, and whoever draws that card, that effect happens to them. So it could be like you get transported into a void and now you're stuck there. Or you are now completely naked and everything you own is 20 feet away from you that way. Or you now have the ability to fly. Or someone now hates you and they're trying to kill you. Like it ranges so far. There's like 50 cards in this deck. And so the people who are watching rank up points, and they could spend those points to have us draw one of these cards. And they get to pick a person, and they get to pick the top of the deck or the bottom of the deck after we shuffle. So we want them to have as much control as they can, and
nice.
it gets insane. Like one of our friends was playing a character he was really in love with, but now he's in a genie lamp, and that's where he is now. So yeah,
you just have to ride that chaos when it happens, right? I mean,
for season 2, he might come back as a genie. Like he's going to buy a genie lamp to have and like bracelets and stuff, and he's going to be his character, but now a genie. So it'll be super cool.
So what do the audience members have to do to earn points to give you that draws?
To give a dice.
Every hour you watch, they're called dice. We call them dice, like give a dice. You should give dice and stuff like that. So every hour you watch, you get 1. Every follow you do, so 1 follow, you get 1. A sub gets 5. And then like every 100 bits, you get 1. Every $1 you donate, you get 1. And so even if you don't have money, you could just watch and just rank up points. So after you watch for 4 hours, you could then make us draw a card, and then now you're helping influence the story. So also you could just spend one of those dice at any point to make us re-roll a roll or add damage to a roll or make us just do something you want us to do. Like I'm going to spend one of my dice to make the wizard dance,
And we've seen it use both effects for viewers trying to screw the party and help them both. We've seen it go both ways during season 1.
People just like, okay, I'm going to spend one of my dice and give it to the DM to re-roll whenever he wants to, like, so the DM has better rolls. Like straight up, they're like, we want the DM to screw the characters. And that's honestly what happens a lot. People are like, I want you to die. So draw from the deck of these things. Hopefully you get one of the death cards. Like
you see people hop in the chat all the time. Are the death cards still in the deck? Are the death cards in there?
The death cards in the deck. So when we first bought the deck of many things, we took them out because we were like afraid we didn't want to ruin these awesome characters we had created. But then we're like, you know what? We just got to put them in there because that's where we're at now. And like, the things need to be spicy. Spice them up. So
now, is this your only game that you guys play, or do you have an off-camera? You guys do your own thing and don't have the audience.
Air Laser and Kingfishy are trying to make us draw a card and draw a dice right now.
It doesn't work in our chat, unfortunately.
It's super funny.
We don't have all those things set up here in TT2KB yet.
Shit, I'm dead. Well, guys, have fun.
The only card we drew for so far was the one that killed Clint's mic and computer. So that one worked. Everyone.
That's why we were a couple minutes late. It's so sweaty in here. All right. We don't have another campaign out of stream, only because our stream campaign takes up a lot of our time, because even like in the off season, all of us are talking about what characters we're creating, what we're going to implement, how we're going to do things, what equipment we need, so it takes up a lot of our time. And even though like it seems like we're just getting drunk in front of cameras and playing characters, like there really is a lot of work that goes into it. Like and sometimes it gets super stressful, like, and some people be upset that such and such wasn't doing this or that or etc. So then we have to work all that out, and like it gets intense sometimes just for playing Dungeons and Dragons. Like,
and you guys are doing it weekly. So I mean, there's the game session planning by your DM that has to happen every week. You've got all your green screen technology there behind you. You have to get set up, the mic checks, all that sort of stuff. Every week. So how when I watch you guys pretty much every week, whenever I can, if I'm not at work, things like that.
Well, we know it.
And you know when I'm there. I usually let you know I'm there. But I am curious how much pre-partying is there prior to Drunks and Dragons? When you guys first light up and you come on, have you already gotten started before everyone gets to see you with the?
So sometimes we'll like crack open a beer and then finish it on the stream, but really there isn't much like pre-partying because the time before we start, we're working really hard setting everything up and like making sure everyone's in costume and you know what I mean, making sure everything's set up. And even before that, on Sundays we record videos for our YouTube channel. Most Sundays anyway. So then we spend all day doing that and buying things and setting things up for that. So we have to break this down behind me and then set up for the YouTube and then break the YouTube down, set up the Twitch. Right. So it's like a big old thing. It's crazy. So not much partying happens. I wish it was that simple.
We just have to talk about cast that you're doing then before Drunks and Dragons.
We record the Couchcast, so we have a podcast as well where we just talk to each other. We record the Couchcast Tuesday nights most of the time. So it's like one of the days where we don't have any other content going out, so we do the podcast.
And it's usually you and Fishy, right? Who I think is still with us.
Yeah,
we got another bag of cheer from Fruitzilla. Thank you, Fruitzilla.
Hey, buddy, thanks.
Thank you for the bits, Fruitzilla. You the best.
Appreciate it. Yeah, he is the bomb diggity.
And look, out of habit, Turkey takes a drink every time somebody the cheers. You can't help it. It's a habit now.
That's a big chunk of money right there. Thank you very much. This guy is single-handedly keeping us in business.
Yeah, no kidding.
So you guys got together.
Air Laser just said Rupert passed out in the doorway a few weeks ago. We had another person playing with us for a couple of weeks, and he couldn't handle it.
Was he the monk?
He legitimately, he was the monk. He fell over in the doorway and was like puking outside. And on our second microphone, you could hear him outside puking.
Yeah.
And we didn't have like a monitor going, so we didn't know. And then we were like, oh crap! So there's like this clip of Rupert puking on stream now on Twitch that you could go and
it's there.
Go and watch. Yeah,
they're on the internet forever.
But your Liching Hour is here.
Liching Hour is here. Welcome, Liching Hour. We were talking a little about you earlier, but you may got in after the fact. But it is good to see you made it here as well. So
just making it rain on Holy.
I know we got bits coming in from everywhere.
Fruitzilla, thank you for the bits, Fruitzilla. You the best, man.
I believe Fruitzilla is going for your liver. That's it's been called out as the prime target. He is a ranger apparently. Favorite enemy, your liver specifically.
Ooh,
and
I feel like I need to join in. I have a bottle of rum up here, but
Natty 20 Bo said, "Hey, I donated. Sorry, Z Damon, you the best. Thank you for the donation, man."
Yes, thank you, Damon, for the bits, everyone. That is one of the things that's interesting with your participation from your audience so much is you guys will literally stop, cheers, and drink every time there's a new follow, a new sub, or bit donations over 10. And so
we completely stop. Like
sometimes on some nights, you guys don't get a lot done, like in your story, like because you're spending a lot of time, stopping to thank people for coming by, and you never miss a single one. It's amazing. Like you guys do a great job of keeping up with it because you never miss like a single one.
In the beginning, we missed a lot, but we bought surround sound speakers. They're behind the green screen behind me, and we turned up the notification sound all the way. So in our drunken stupor, it's super loud, and it's like a new adventurer has joined the party, and we're like, super excited about it because of how loud it is. We just get so intense, and we're like, yes, and like,
you can hear it on stream now when it happens. Like I remember the first time you could hear it's so loud now you can hear it on the stream. And so I remember the first time it like chimed out, I was like, what the hell was that? I was like,
so they've added something new. I recorded our voices saying certain phrases for the notifications, then put like a boatload of reverb on them. Then we added sound effects. So for the bits, we literally in front of the microphone, we dropped coins for like bit noises. And it's like coins rain from above and like coin noises, like put some reverb on it. Yeah. So we made everything ourselves.
So it's just a lot of feedback is what you're going for. It sounds like, make sure the audience can get a hold of like everything that's happening, so they can get in there and really mess with the scene.
and it's awesome. When they go to break,
we have to take breaks. Like we feel bad about it sometimes, but we have to take 10 minutes to just breathe and just, take a second. And we do it like every hour-ish, so like we have to take breaks. But really, we want audience feedback. We want to build a community with people. So all the people that do come in every single week, we're getting to know them and they're getting to know us by just ruining our campaign or making it better, and like we really just want everyone to be involved. Like that was like a big thing for everybody. So it's like not only our player and characters are important. But the people being there at this point is like super important. Like without them, Drunks and Dragons really wouldn't exist. Like it wouldn't be what it is, like at all. Like it's insane. Like
that's awesome.
And we wouldn't think like we like rose so fast. Like
oh yeah,
it makes no sense. Like we just wanted to do something, and then it just started working super fast, and we're like,
well, I mean, it's a Dungeons and Dragons game, and I mean, you guys are, and it's kind of a party, kind of all in one fell swoop. But what's important, I think, that people can get lost with some of the drinking and some of the partying and the yelling and carrying on. And what they don't realize is that when you give you guys 5 seconds, you guys play a pretty damn good D&D game. You know your rules, you know your characters, you're role playing the whole time. Like, you know, it's actually a very solid game, you know, when people aren't throwing a bunch of bits at you, making you stop and drink every couple seconds. But
yeah, I don't want to play it up like it's all just drinking. You're absolutely right.
I know it's a solid D&D game.
Yeah, we do a lot of, and I've been DMing the past couple weeks. I've been doing my best to bring in like really cool, like fun stories. Like, and we're not trying to be all like serious. So like we were chasing a sheep that had been polymorphed in our last campaign. Like, you know, there was a bear in an outhouse, like reading a newspaper, you know, taking a crap. But we really tried to. I think one of the funnest things is that people play their characters the whole time. So even whenever people cheers and stuff, like you're getting a cheers from that character. So if we're like doing voice acting and stuff, like that voice acting, like we're not coming out of character and then cheersing, like it's the whole time, like nonstop character, you know, acting and stuff, which is really it becomes a lot of fun because then like you learn who that character is. I was playing a wizard in our first campaign, and after the first 3 episodes, the wizard became super southern because whenever I drink for some reason and I'm trying to like act and do a voice, I become super southern. So like there was this southern wizard that was like cheersing everybody.
Now what type of southern are we talking about here?
And first off,
he couldn't pronounce words properly, like, and it was like it had this weird like slang and like twang on it. You know,
I'm trying to coax it out of you a little bit here.
Can we clarify that wizard part again?
What wizard part? What are you talking about? Oh yeah, so the whole joke was his name was Willie the Wizard, but he was actually a warlock. So it was this whole thing. It was a lot of fun.
I kind of called him out on it one game. I was like, hey, you're not actually a wizard. I was like, look at that D&D Beyond up. So I started clicking at the character sheets and I'm like, man, Willie's intelligence is really low for a wizard. I'm like, oh, it's because he's not a wizard. It's like, you're not a wizard. So whenever they go to break, everybody goes to break kind of at you. You barely take a break because then you come back as Willie and you do and I don't even know if I'm going to get all the words right because I don't have it in front of me, but the Willie's Wiggling Wizard show on Sunday,
you know,
which is an intermission.
It wasn't too bad. It's the Willie's Wacky Wiggling Wizard show, Warlock show now on Sundays. Yeah.
He did eventually came out like, wrote Warlock underneath it. So
like the logo, I legit scratched it out and put Warlock. Super, because it came out like in the story because it was part of the story and stuff. Yeah, so it was a lot of fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so much fun.
And then, so even during your intermission breaks, you're running this. Basically, your character's running this talk where he's actually just talking with the audience, and you're keeping everyone there, and everyone's still chatting and having a good time answering questions in chat, things like that. So you really do put a lot of work into it. You don't take the breaks with everyone else necessarily.
We tried to do that. We were doing like 5-minute breaks because like we didn't want people to leave because 5 minutes is a long time to wait when you're just looking at a screen, right? Yeah. So I would come back in after 5. I'd take 5 minutes myself, and then I'd come back in and talk for 10 minutes to give everybody like 15 minutes to talk. Now we introduced in our Be Right Back screen, we have like things happening, like we have our characters coming in and talking to the people and introducing themselves and stuff. So now there's more going on, and we cut the breaks in half now because I don't do it every single time. Because, like you said, it does become a little rough. The mustache on top of a mustache is like the worst thing ever. Like, and you're drinking wine, so like it's all just wet. Like it's just wet mustache on top of mustache. Yeah, so it becomes a big old thing. And I was like chafing, and like my whole face right here was like red every Monday. Just like in school, like it's pretty. I don't know if it was like stained from the red wine or if it was like chafing and stuff. It was intense. I'm looking at chat right now. Liching Arts of Willie.
There's a lot of goodness going on there. So, like in terms of other things you've tried with audience participation, have you had them like do things like change the encounters you're going into, like what monsters you're going to fight, or like the tenor of the style of the scene, that kind of stuff?
We were trying to introduce a thing to where a viewer could spend a certain amount of dice to create an NPC themselves with the DM and then introduce it into the whole story. But everyone gets so caught up in the dice and the cards and stuff, no one ever saves enough to be able to do it. And I think season 2 we're actually going to lower the cost of that, so we could actually make it happen more. And now that I'm DMing, I'm in the Discord more often, so people could actually talk to me and give me ideas and tell me what they want, and then I can implement that character that they made. It could even have their name into the story, right? So like, and some really want to do so, like not just bringing in encounters, which is not a bad idea, but bringing in a character themselves is really cool.
Yeah, I'm kind of stealing that from what was the game, Vermintide, the Warhammer game. So like in there, if you streamed it, people can actually go through and like increase the danger that you're about to get into, or drop health packs, or set up weird circumstances that are going to come your way. So it was just like constantly like, oh shit, the crowd is getting involved. No.
Yeah, well, some of the deck of many things had a little bit of that in it, if I remember right. Like the deck of many things has a few cards that'll create encounters sort of on their own. So it was kind of in there just through the deck.
There was like a Reaper card that we'd introduce, and the person who drew the card had to fight the Reaper by themselves and kill the Reaper. And if anyone else tried to attack it, it would create another Reaper for that person to fight. So you were just like creating Reapers like all over the place. Yeah.
Brutal.
Yeah, so it gets pretty brutal, especially since it had like a lot of HP. And I knew we drew it one time, but one of our characters had a wish spell from like another card that they had drawn, so they just wished the Reaper onto the enemy we were fighting. So then the Reaper had to fight the enemy instead of our character.
Nice.
Yeah, it was like tactics and stuff. It was pretty crazy.
So now, is there a bridge too far in terms of audience participation for your group? Is there anything you would say is just like off limits?
I don't know. I don't think so. As long as no one's being a troll and no one's being rude and like racist and stuff like that, because that's like stuff we don't tolerate. Obviously, sure, I mean, no one does. I don't think so. I mean, like sometimes definitely the characters can get a little salty whenever the crowd's just trying to doom them. And it happens more often with people that the viewers love. Like, I love this character, and then they just try their hardest to kill him. They're like, I don't know why, but that's usually what happens. So it's like it's a character that they hate and feel bad for. They don't really try to mess with and just leave them alone. But if they love you, they're going to try to kill you. And so I feel like players you can get a little salty about it. Like, dang it, why are they trying to kill me? But it's Drunks and Dragons, just do your best to survive, man.
Just ride that chaos roller coaster as it moves along.
That has got to be a really odd experience, because like in our group, we've our DM wants to go pretty much the opposite direction, right? So like he wants to be very this is our curated experience, and the audience is there, and we're very thankful that they're there. But what happens inside the game is pretty much securely in there. And we've been talking about doing some more of this crowd participation in maybe a secondary game, kind of designed around the concepts of streaming.
I'm starting a Zweihander game next month, and I'm already looking at maybe some ways that I could do, not quite to the extent what you're doing with Grouch Couch, but so there's some ways maybe the audience can get involved in some of that as well. I'm a little nervous about it because it's my first time running the system, so I'm a little hesitant too, just because I'm brand new to it. But I don't know, I might go for it.
You got to jump right in. Yeah, you got to jump right in. I was thinking about, I wish I knew more like coding, if I knew how to code stuff, because there's a lot of like Twitch extensions, and I would love to be able to create a Twitch extension that was like elaborate enough to bring in more crowd participation with Dungeons and Dragons, and I wish I knew more of coding and stuff like that, so I can actually have them throw in an encounter or roll their own dice per se, and stuff we were like really looking into. Like there's a bot that could have you like roll a dice. You could like roll dice, and it'll roll a dice for you and tell you what you get. But we don't know how to implement that into our system yet. So yeah,
perhaps a project has appeared in my inventory.
But there's like for just because I'm talking about maybe doing Zweihander, like there's a really interesting whenever you help somebody do something in that game, you give them a die. So they roll their normal percentile die, and then you give them a D10, and they get to swap out their ones with that one. So then you can see if it affected the roll that way. So there's little things like that I'm looking at maybe doing for crowd participation stuff that might be an interesting way where the audience can literally be the one helping and giving the die instead of the other way around.
That's super cool.
So that's cool, a good way. Like that. Like, so if you're playing if you're not just playing D&D 5e, if you're playing other games, like there's also ways you can introduce participation into, I guess, as well. So So do you guys play games beyond D&D 5e, or is 5e kind of your game? Is that where you started? Or?
No, we played Pathfinder for a little bit. We also played this tabletop called Rift. I don't know if you heard about it, but it's like cyberpunk type stuff. Yep. We played that for a little while, but we were just stuck on Dungeons and Dragons. We kept going back to it. Even whenever we were playing Pathfinder or Rift, we were like playing it in the style that we would be playing 5e. So we were like, yeah, maybe we should just stick with that, and we'll just add in little additives that we like from these other tabletops. You know, like we did a 5e run where everyone had guns, which was a lot of fun. Yeah, it was like weird, like Final Fantasy, kind of like based in that world. Yeah, it was a trip. Yeah.
So what it is about each of these systems that you like, and I guess why is it that you see such a difference between Pathfinder and Dungeons and Dragons?
I don't know. I just remember us having like difficulties with trying to follow the exact rules, and like a lot of stuff we had to read, and we already had so much more knowledge on Dungeons and Dragons, so it just came naturally. So we were just like, well, I guess so then it's like less work for us to have to read and learn this whole other thing, especially getting 6 people to do that. Right. It's, you know, it became like a whole thing.
So that makes sense.
Right. Yeah.
Rift is important.
Rift has a cool, like different whole battle system and stuff like that. I think if I remember right. Yeah, it was really cool, but we didn't play it for that long. We just got bored and, you know, went back to video games and stuff like that. So
yeah, it's an old school number crunchy game, if I remember right.
Yeah.
Like the old Rift books were like just charts and charts and charts and charts of craziness. And that was really one of those games you could really play anything, wasn't it? Kind of a little bit more generic stylized.
Yeah, like you could do all kinds of stuff. Like there was like a weird like laser holding like a cyborg thing and like all other kinds of stuff, I think. Yeah, it was like intense. I like reading chat. These guys talking about Wild West. Yeah, he's like, we have more 5e books too. I actually stacked them.
Yeah, I see those back there.
Yeah, because it's clipped. But yeah, they're right behind me. Yeah, I have them all set up. We have like a whole big old stack. These guys, heck yeah. So I mean, like.
Yeah, our DM Levi is actually in there. He's saying he can't leave fantasy. Even when he shifts to other genres, he finds himself gravitating back towards fantasy. And so that is, when you've been playing fantasy and high fantasy as long as we have, you do develop, I think, certain habits that are hard to break away from. And 100%. When you get into other genres, you find yourself going right back to those habits, even if you don't intend. It is a very hard thing to do.
Well, I think cool, we're playing Rift. I'm going to make an orc fighter. They're like, what? Oh, wait, never mind.
Well, I think you get a skill set too. Like if you're used to playing in a certain genre, you get good at running that genre. You know, you figure out the things that work within that system, the kinds of dynamics and threats and stuff that play well within that theme. And then you get outside of it, you're like, I got to come up with a new thing. Oh shit! You know
what to like expect. Yeah, you're like, you know, and then you're like, oh crap, like anxious. Like you don't know what's going to happen or how, right? So yeah, it's super intense.
Yeah, it takes some patience, I think, you know, and acceptance for people to like be more open-ended to somebody learning a new system, a new setting, kind of finding the groove for it, you know. And I think for us, you know, being online, doing this stuff in front of a camera, it could be a little more tricky to like give yourself that time to think it through and breathe, you know.
Like 100%. The way that we used to play, we would like do like hour-long battle sequences where you have to really try and think about what you're doing, and everyone would take their time. And we would have like 8 players, so like it would take forever. And now that we're doing it online, the whole aspect of battling has completely changed. Like we're cutting down, you know, like HPs and stuff, and like we're really trying to implement it to where battles are fun and like interactive, and they go by fast, and then we can move on to the next thing. Because if you jump into a D&D stream and they're just like, okay, I attack. Okay, I attack. Okay, I attack for a long like period of time. You're like, well, I don't really want to watch these guys attack. Like, who are their characters? Like, that's what I'm here for. You know,
come back when I see that the battle's ended, and then catch up on what happened during that battle, and then
So I really try to.
As somebody who watches 15 streams, that's exactly what I do a lot of times. When battle starts, I'll come back. I'll cut back later. Is everyone still alive? Yep, everything's going good in the battle. Okay, cool. Gotta go check out what someone else is doing for a few minutes, and I'll be back again. Like, yeah, you guys don't have maps or anything on your stream. You guys are purely theater of the mind, right? Or do you have a map there somewhere we don't see?
We thought about implementing a map, and we used to have this big like checkerboard thing that we use for battle. We've done it a couple times, but like you couldn't see it on camera because we already have 3 cameras going, and so having more than 3 cameras might like overload some stuff, you know. So we're really trying to keep it minimalistic, and we feel like as long as the DM describes what's going on to the best ability, and it's all theater of the mind type stuff.
So you have 3 cameras. One, the main screen is the party, and you're all in costume and you're all role playing, and then you have the DM up in a corner, and the other corner is the dice box where you can see the rolls take place.
Right, and not a lot of people do that. And we were joking around, and we were like, whenever we see other people using a dice box, we know that we made it. They're copying us. We were like joking around. Of course, there's a couple people that like use dice boxes and stuff, but like we really want everyone to know that we're playing, truthfully, and we're rolling our best dice. So I feel like them seeing, especially if they're paying one of their dice rolls for us to re-roll that dice.
Oh yeah, exactly.
To be able to see what it is, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's 100%. One of the reasons on Roll20, because we use Roll20, so we have the ability for electronic dice to show up on screen, and I do that for almost all my rolls. We did get us a sponsor from Die Hard Dice, and so we have these really sexy metal Die Hard dice. So whenever I have to make my death saves, I am going to make them with one of these, and so there will come a point where I won't be able to show my roll though, because I don't have any good way of rolling this and having it show up. So. I guess
like working out like contrast and like having a camera zoom into such tiny little dice is so hard. Like we spend a lot of time trying to make it look decent. Like every week it looks different because we're trying to make it look right, and we still haven't figured it out. Like it's hard to make because still you kind of like squint and be like, okay, yeah, that's a 19, I think. It's hard to make it.
You went and grabbed a giant die. You guys have like a really big D20. So
you bought giant ones. So the thing is, it's right behind me. The thing is that the big dice, all the big dice that all the makers make, like even on Amazon, we've gone to Dungeons and Dragon shops in like Hollywood and in LA. All the big dice that they sell are turn down dice. So like for Magic and stuff, they're not for rolling. They're not Dungeons and Dragons dice. So like we still use them sometimes, but like you're going to get bad rolls off turn down dice. So it's a toss up. It's a choice that you have to make.
Well, and I think some of the challenges that like when you roll, you have no idea where it's going to land, obviously. So the focus is almost impossible.
Right.
You would
but if you pick it up when it's on a 4 and you spin it, it'll probably hit like a 7.
Right. Yeah.
Because it's like 3 steps away. It's not like randomized.
Oh yeah. I see what you mean with
turn down dice for Magic and stuff. Yeah. And then they suck to roll with.
Boy, howdy.
It is what it is. So with this treating,
go ahead.
What do you guys think about character flaws? I know that was another thing we wanted to talk about today. I don't know if we're moving on, but I'm excited.
We can. That's fine.
Character flaws is a good topic. I like this one.
I think for me, and this is going, I don't know how old you are exactly, Turkey, but I'm going to go way
25.
back. Okay. See, I'm turning 40 this year. So this is going way back in the time machine here, back to second ed D&D when we used to play.
All right.
And we got our start back in second ed D&D. It's D&D still, even in 5e, is really set up to be heroic hero style characters. You spend a lot of time talking about all the cool things your character can do, this, that, the other. 5th ed is the first D&D rendition I have seen that there's even one small blurb somewhere that's like, what's something your character sucks at?
Yeah.
Like
it's like underneath like personality traits, they have like a dice roll chart. It's like roll a D8 and then like it has like a flaw focus.
Right. Yeah. And this is the first time they've really ever done that. Back in second ed, we had characters who were flawed, but a lot of it was just a player deciding he wanted to tank a stat. Mm-hmm. And we had a friend who played, and he notoriously would tank his intellect stat and just play really dumb characters. And that was like the closest to a flaw system you had, was you would roll your stats and you would just be like, I'm just going to tank one just so I've got some flavor on this character, right? And this is what we're going to do. So it wasn't really for us until we got into World of Darkness games. I don't know if you've ever seen or played any of the World of Darkness, but that's vampire, werewolf. It was a modern game. It was the first game system ever where it had flaws. You picked a certain number of points of flaws, and then it gave you extra points to build your character with if you took flaws. So it was a buy-in. Cool. So it had a list of flaws you could take. And I think that was the first time and a turning point for us where we really started getting into, well, what kinds of bullshit bad things has my character got going on in his life? And so I think that was like a good turning point, like when we really started getting into that concept of playing flaws.
Yeah, World of Darkness is definitely where it came from for us, I think. And I think the nice thing about flaws is they force you to really think about your character's role play. It's you become less of the I have to win everything, and I think it changes your focus more onto exploration of who this person is in the scene that you're in. Like you got that with the other personality traits, like you're in World of Darkness, there was like nature and demeanor that you'd select. Different personality kind of quirks and stuff. But I think the flaws are really it. That letting down your guard a little bit.
Whenever you're trying to build like a character and you're really trying to get into it and act out this character, the easiest way is to be like, I have this flaw and I'm going to bank on that flaw to build this character. And so that's why I really feel like people, when it comes to like acting and dressing in costume, doing stuff like that, like, okay, well, I'm an old man, so I talk like an old man and I'm kind of senile, So then you could play on that flaw of being senile. I know like official character flaws and stuff like that are like big, but we've just thrown it to the wall and we're like, okay, well, every time I shoot an arrow, I have Tourette's and I might miss, so now I need to roll a d20 on wisdom to see if I can hold myself together to be able to shoot this thing. And we're just like, we go all off the wall. And I really feel like flaws really build, like for a party to see your friend playing the flaw on their character the right way. Like, it's like, dang, man, like, that's cool, dude. Like, that really is that character. And like, I think I like that character more now because I understand them, so like flaws are huge when it comes to like even acting your characters out. So like you said, 100%, like it's so cool.
Well, yeah, I think that's what it is that you get into these scenes and it's when the flaw actually bites you in the ass, because I mean, when you're playing the game, you could be like, oh, that's a hot chick over there. Who cares? My objective's over there. I'm going there, done. I never have any problems. I am Superman. Everything is perfect. Like that gets really fucking boring. Whereas, when you play into the flaw, especially when you knowingly dip into it, then whatever comes out of that, suddenly you're kind of taking agency a little bit. Like this circumstance that is arising is because of my choices and my character's flaw. And here's how this thing is unraveling. And I think that's really cool. Like that gives everybody a chance to be more involved in the dynamicism of the gameplay itself. Yeah, I'm trying to think of some examples, but go ahead.
Building this world. So the classic flaw, like you said, the classic flaw is being like a super buff barbarian that is just dumb. Like that's kind of a trope.
It's kind of a trope.
It's like a go-to. Like if you're trying to learn how to act out a character, just make a super strong person who can barely understand anything anyone is saying. Like, don't understand small men, throw small men, and then you just chuck them a football field. Like you're so strong, but you don't know how to use that strength. That is just classic to me. And that was like the first time I built like a fully flawed character. His name was Gorag the Barbarian, and he had a little sheep named Pee-Pee. He'd carry him around, and he would just beat up walls. And like the whole party was like fighting a dragon, and he was like outside at a campsite just chilling with his sheep because he didn't know what was going on. He's like the strongest guy who could totally wreck this dragon, but he doesn't even know that there's a dragon there. Classic flaw.
Yeah, and I think going back to like the Greek style of storytelling, right? You think about all those old school stories. All of them are about characters that are heavily flawed, and that was something that was big in the Exalted game. Was that every one of these characters had some fatal flaw built into them that when stuff started happening would kick in and they would just become the antithesis of what they should be, kind of like a shadow version or whatever. Right. I think that was really an interesting way of playing, like those characters are more memorable, I think, as you were saying before, and their stories are more impactful because they're more real.
I was going to say, I think of what the flaw does is, if you look back at, like I was saying, with our second ed D&D characters, a lot of them were, they didn't have that same level of realism to them. They were a lot like watching, like when you think of like Superman, right? Like he's all power. He perhaps has the most notorious flaw of all time, a little chunk of his homeland, and he's nothing anymore. But really that doesn't come up very often. So, that's how I felt when we were playing second ed, right? Our characters they were like Superman. They could just run around, just destroy anything they came across, and nothing could stand in their way. And I think that the reason we don't really retell a lot of those stories nearly as much is because those characters never seemed as real as like our newer characters do, because we do take the time now to incorporate flaws.
Yeah. Like, you remember that character you made that had Tourette's and like yelled at an old lady for 10 minutes? Like, yeah, totally. You also remember that super powerful ranger that like killed everything and never took any damage? When? Which one? What are you talking about? Right? Like, you don't remember the super powerful guys that just wreck everything. Especially playing a DM, that there's just like all these players that are really strong and they have no flaws. But if you're playing and one of your players has a flaw against like gold, you're like, all right, so over here is this person in dire need of help, but over there's some gold. Your party's going to help the old person, but that rogue who's in love with gold is going to be like, no, gold. And as a DM, you're going to remember that and be like, I'm going to put a pile of gold over here just to see what happens. And then if the character goes for it, you could be like, inspiration point for you, sir.
Mm-hmm. I have no clue what you're talking about. my current druid pirate does not totally do that every game session. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I guess that's an interesting thing. You're just saying the inspiration here. Oftentimes with the examples we're bringing up with the World of Darkness, it was you got more point buy power, so you can actually juice up your character to be more powerful than they started. Other systems like Exalted, you would occasionally get experience for playing up your flaws at the end if it bit you in the ass.
Right.
With what you were saying here with inspiration, you got some rerolls and that kind of stuff. Do you think that there should always be a reward for flaws?
Well, the way that we play, actually, a lot of the times is like, even if one of the characters doesn't kill a lot of enemies, but like you really did play into your character, sometimes you'll still get rewarded for experience. So it's like initiative for our players to play their characters even when they don't want to. You know what I mean? I don't know if there should always be a reward. I really feel like just having a good time should be the biggest part of that reward. But inspiration points and experience is huge initiative. Like, a lot of DMs only divvy out experience for killing enemies, right? Which I don't think should be the case. Like, you did a lot. You traveled a long way. You did, so like you should get experience for other things too,
Yeah, I bring that up because the discussion we were having in the TT2KB Discord today of, how do you manipulate people's gameplay? Do you have to incentivize things? Do you have to disincentivize things, to kind of carrot and stick people into the right gameplay? And I don't think you necessarily have to, but I think those sorts of systems get people to buy in when they otherwise wouldn't. So if you have some people that are on the fence about, I don't want to play a flawed character. Okay, well, here, try it. So you will probably enjoy it. Here's a reason why,
Right.
Then I guess it just depends on how much of an advantage it really should be at that point.
I think what a system does, if you have a system in play that helps you pick a flaw, in particular one that rewards you with a couple extra points that you can put into a power, what that is that's role play bait for the people who play for the power fantasy part of it, because they're going to take the flaw so they can have more power, so they can do more things with their power. And then they're going to, because of it, now they have decided somewhat to bring this flaw along with them. And good storytellers then can bring that flaw up and have that flaw happen. And they can, but unwillingly or even unrealizing, they put themselves in a situation now where they get to have that experience. And they start realizing, like, maybe this ain't so bad. I was just in here to play a vampire that could punch through walls and control animals, but it turns out that flaw I took actually kind of made this fun. So I think it's a good, it's having the system as kind of a gateway to getting those people into experiencing those things where in a normal second ed D&D game, they would never do anything like that.
And I really think that's the impression of the public when they think of playing Dungeons and Dragons. I think you're just, playing a character that just, kills things, and you're just some kind of mystical creature that kills stuff. But if you bring in like a newbie and you have them play the flaw, like you said, like that's a great way to like get people to understand more of like the in-depth storytelling and acting part of Dungeons and Dragons. Like this world that you're building this world, and that flaw, you could roll on that flaw badly, right? And then that flaw could help create this world that we're all in. Like, because of you, that house burnt down, and now there's a burnt down house in that town now forever because your flaw is that you're an arsonist. It could just be so much stuff, and it's very true. So
I think that's what 5e does so damn well, though, and even though it doesn't seem like much, just putting those 5 blurbs in there that you have to fill in. What's a personality trait? What's something I'm bonded to? What's my flaw? Those things listed on there. Like, I think those are so important to get people coming into the system to sit there and think, well, what is my character's background? What is my character's flaws? Like, and you start to think of them more as rounded individuals and not sets of stats. I think that's an important hump to get people over if you want to have good role play at your table, is you got to get people over that hump. And that's just having those questions on the sheet, just as a standard part of the standard D&D sheet from the standard book, is a great way to introduce that and to make that happen more just in the community at large sort of way.
Yeah, I think you get what you emphasize. If you don't give a nod to things, it's not going to appear in your game for the most part. And I'm just going to post something to the chat here to see if we can get some insight here. What kind of flaws have been your favorites that you've played with or had around the table? So just go ahead and put that in the chat, and we'll take a look through those, see if there's something we want to talk about.
So while we're waiting for some chat responses because they're on delay, why don't you tell us a little about Willie's flaw? He was obviously an old man. Did he have actual like Alzheimer's? He never could remember a lot of things.
So there was a lot of things that I knew that were happening, like in the whole campaign that I, IRL knew what was happening. But playing Willie, I had to just be like, I have no idea, which was kind of cool because then I could just not remember these things and not have to like play into this trope and be like, all right, well, who cares? I'm going this way now. Like his whole flaw was that he was just literally an insane wizard that, thought like corn was like a cucumber. He didn't know the difference. He was like, vegetables is vegetables. Yeah, Willie was definitely one of my favorite characters. I had this pirate character who was like had like 15 captains before his name. He was like Captain Admiral Edward, whatever. Kinway. He was like this little rogue like thing, and I just remember playing. He's like my number 2. I don't remember what all of his flaws were, but like it was just ridiculous the amount of things that I couldn't do as that character, and that's why I remember his name so much. Like, yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah, it definitely forces you to really, get good, so to speak, at role playing. If you think about some of the interesting types of characters out there that were opportunities in Dungeons and Dragons, so you have like the Kinku that can't talk, so they can only use like whatever limited range of words they've ever come across. So that's an interesting thing. You got, I don't know, the old school Kinders, I guess, being the old obnoxious, steal everything. It's not nailed down. Plus everything is
no concept of
murder hobos.
It wasn't that they stole; they just had no concept of ownership.
Yeah, it was like nobody has that. That's interesting. I'll pick that up and walk away. So there's like stuff like that, or trying to think of some of the other really baked in like characters that have like an honor system. That's really.
There was one of our friends that in real life he was like deathly scared of spiders, and Damon just brought it up. His character in D&D was like deathly afraid of spiders. And a classic enemy in Dungeons and Dragons is a giant spider.
Yeah, they're everywhere.
Bring that around a lot just to, freak him out. And like, it was easy for him to play that flaw because he knew it so well, It was just like a big thing.
Yeah, neither of us know what you're talking about.
Yeah, neither one of us are arachnophobic at all.
But
sarcasm?
Yes.
Yeah. We very much share Mike's problem. So yeah.
But yeah, I think it's interesting to get into these issues, like personality ones in particular. I find interesting, like the flaws that are kind of like physical or whatever. Okay, those are interesting, but it's kind of like in the Superman kind of area where it's just like, it's a circumstance, whatever. I deal with it physically, whatever. I mean, I guess things like being disabled would be kind of interesting. Or having like a sense that's missing.
We were messing around with an idea of having a character who only had one arm. Mm-hmm. And we were going to paint this person's arm green or put like green stuff around its arm. So it would just be chroma keyed and gone. And then they could act out this character the whole way through our story, just being like a one-armed rogue or like a one-armed wizard or whatever. And we were thinking about like, what would come from that? Like, what could you not do? I mean, obviously, if we're on camera, then all of a sudden this cup just starts floating. That'd be, kind of trippy, but
mage hand.
Thinking about what like a wizard can't do without one hand. Like if there was any like spells that they needed to physically move their hands with, like that's gone now. It's out the table.
True.
Yeah.
Although I think the rule for spell casting
put on a white glove and then that's mage hand all of a sudden, Yeah. So
I think the rule for casting in 5e is they have to have one open hand.
Yeah.
So as long as you don't have anything in the other hand, he could still do the somatic part of it. Yeah, it would be difficult because you couldn't technically have a weapon ready and cast a spell at the same time. So
you have to drop that staff or whatever you're holding. Man. Oh man,
that would be rough.
It would be a rough way to go about doing something like that. For sure.
You really think about when it comes to stuff like that, we really think about costumes and stuff. And it's gotten to that point to where we have to dress up however we think that's going to, we want people to see it, right? Mm-hmm. And so like we really think about that type of stuff. One of our friends wanted to be an orc. And we were like, okay, well, how are you going to be an orc? Like, are you going to buy face paint or teeth or like, what are you going to do to actually show that you're an orc? Because we want people to come on and see us and be like, okay, well, that's the fighter, that's the rogue, that's the, like you could just see it. And so it really comes into play when it comes with like playing character flaws and like it's stuff like that. It really works, like having one eye or something like that. And even messing around with the chroma key could really, make stuff super cool. So it's been super fun.
Shirtless.
Shirtless.
What the cat says here.
A lot of shirtless streams. It's happened more than what we like to admit. It has happened a lot.
Doesn't always start off as the plan, but always
especially when someone draws the deck of many things card called nakedness. Now you have to get naked on stream. You know, we have this loincloth that we made that, you know, you can't see the waist underneath the table, so like that kind of works out. But if you draw the nakedness card, you have to take your
and the black electrical tape. Right, you can't get the black electrical tape. Right, you gotta have that. One of our viewers was
nervous for us because she thought that we would get like striked because like one of our friends' titties were just so we put X's on his with electrical tape. Air laser. She's lurking, so
that's hilarious.
Around there somewhere,
man. Yeah, so like I think the physical flaws could be fun. I think in your situation where you have costuming, it's definitely very interesting. I think in a more theater of the mind, I think sometimes it can kind of fall away a little bit.
Yeah,
you know, not being noticed as much.
Move too far away from that. There's like, I don't know. I know you guys don't do Twitter, really, do you guys, for Grouch Couch? Yeah, so you guys are kind of talking about your last podcast, so you don't really fully understand Twitter all that well. You guys are on Facebook a lot, though, but I mostly do the Twitter for us, but there's a big push out there to get a lot of physical disabilities and even some mental disabilities basically in games to not be viewed as flaws at all.
Mm-hmm.
That you have them, but they don't like the idea of a mechanical penalty being applied to something like someone in a wheelchair or something like this, because it's effectively, and you're not meaning to, but you're kind of pointing out like, hey, you guys can't do things other people could do in a way, is like kind of, and pushing that too far and pushing more towards the idea of being handy capable and just letting the characters just roll. So it's an interesting, when you get into character flaws, and like if we're going to move from the idea of like even physical flaws into what you might even consider like mental flaws, other things, like it's interesting where you want to draw those lines in what is and is not actually got a mechanic involved in it versus just what you want to role play.
100%. I think that there's a line to be drawn there. Like some things could get offensive, like absolutely. But even in the opposite end of things, like you could try to role play, you know, someone who's disabled and then overcome that disability while you're role playing to still do amazing feats. You know, so like it definitely goes both ways. But I think maybe even having that, you know, handicap. I never thought about that angle of that. I never thought about it before, but it's definitely a super good point.
I see those conversations come up on Twitter all the time.
I'm sure
it's interesting to see the dichotomy in those sorts of things, because on the one hand, like you want to get outside your norm and you want to do something that's different, and you want to feel like that different has some consequence to it, but then at the same time, like you don't want to push it to a point where, you know, you're making a statement you don't intend to mean. You know, I think in a way that you don't intend to make.
It's a tricky thing. I mean, it kind of falls in the idea of like the racism kind of vibe. Like you don't want to say that I'm colorblind, right? Because then you're dismissing the richness of the experience of being a different race and having certain things that involve you that don't involve other people. Right. So I think it's the same kind of idea with these loud noise outside. Sorry about that. But the handicap situations or mental disabilities is that you don't want to make that like, this character is completely useless, can't do anything with them. I'm making a statement about, you know, these people. But at the same time, you have to acknowledge the complexity and the challenge that is inherent in the day-to-day life of somebody who's experiencing those things. You know, I mean, that is a truth, you know.
I thought a TV show that actually handled it quite interestingly was Black Sails. Did you ever watch Black Sails?
Nope.
I kind of did a little bit. Fishy was like super obsessed with it.
Well, not that I want to ruin the show here for you, but there's a point where Long John Silver loses a leg just under the knee, and he tries to walk around on a peg leg for a while, and it hurts him too much. He can't hardly do it. He can't run. So he starts walking with a crutch, and after a while, he's having a session where he's fencing with Captain Flint, and Captain Flint's like, you've gotten to where you move as fast with that crutch as most people do with their normal legs. Like, so it hit a point where he like overcome it to the point that like now it was no longer an issue. Like he was able to move as quick as everyone else with it. He was able to fight with it. Like he even used it in combats in some interesting ways. So it's interesting when you see a show handle it, what would normally be a drawback to a character, and make it actually an advantage that he uses it throughout the rest of the show. Like, so it's interesting, like the way that works out and how you can handle those things. Like when you want to play something that has something like that happen to them. So
No, totally. I haven't seen the show, so like I don't know, but definitely like that's super cool.
Kingfish is in there. He said black sails. Yeah, it was a damn good show.
Well, I mean, I think some of what you're describing there, it's important is that they had a journey, right?
Right.
He had the experience happen. It's, I guess, in the same way that in Game of Thrones, Jaime Lannister loses his arm. That whole arc. It's important because it's the reason why that event is important is that it changes who he is. Like his experience of his life has always been, I had it easy because I'm the best swordsman ever. Blah 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 blah. Everyone knows me because I'm a badass. Well, now what? Like, oh shit, I've got to figure out something else. And
I don't have an arm anymore. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think building character flaws through story is cool. It's definitely an awesome idea. Like we were, I think it was you guys who were talking about it, and we talked about it a whole bunch, but like building your character stats through playing the game. Like say we have some reason have to swim across the lake, roll to see if you can swim properly, and you roll a 1. So then why in your character's backstory can you not swim? Because now your swimming stat is 1. Like you suck at swimming because that's what you rolled live while the game was happening. Like in building your character off of that. So like building flaws throughout, losing your arm in the middle of battle in the game, and then you have to work on that flaw forever. Yeah. I think that's super cool. Like, character building is the flaws happening live and not just being like, I have this flaw,
That's cool. Totally going to happen in my Zweihander game because there are charts upon charts that you roll when shit happens to you, and that's exactly what happens to you. So don't have that problem with my upcoming game. That shit's going to happen. So, Jeff, what are some of the other favorite flaws you've played in your time? I know we kind of had Turk mention a couple of his. What flaws have you done that you remember?
Yeah, I've had a couple interesting ones. I had one character in our kind of demi-humans game where I was playing a Formian, so it's like an Ant-Man kind of thing. And I decided that their society, since they were hive-minded, there was no such thing as deception. Lying was not a thing. And so he decided when people were lying, saying something that wasn't true, that was a form of magic.
Oh, shit.
And cool. So got really obsessed with that concept. That was pretty fun. In one of Dustin's games, we actually played kids at a campground. So it was like real young, I don't even know how old we were, like 9 or 10 or something like that.
It was a summer camp. They're supposed to be like kind of pre-teenish, like summer camps were.
So I played a character that was just incredibly insecure and, just very shy and timid, that kept getting put in situations where he had to like kind of overcome that to achieve something in the group and save the day kind of stuff. Really, most of my characters have tended to have some severe flaws. Like I played a caitiff in Vampire, which is kind of like an unwanted vampire, wasn't like raised by anybody. And in his case, he was incredibly paranoid of the elders, and he believed that they were out to get him kind of stuff. And it got to the point where like anyone who got close to him, like he had a very, very tight circle of people that protected him, but those are the people who knew him the best. So he turned on them and slowly got them killed off, that kind of stuff. So kind of exploring the dark, like drawbacks to this paranoia. So that was pretty fun. Trying to get some more
complex flaws. One of the ones I did are just like literally to the extreme. I don't know if you've ever seen Viva La Dirt League before, but they have a character in the they have a character in the show that only says, "Morning, nice day for fishing, ain't it?" And so I played a character that could only say, "Morning, nice day for fishing, ain't it?" all the time. So if anyone would ask him a question, he would say, "Morning, nice day for fishing, ain't it?" And so he had a fishing pole that was like an enchanted fishing pole, and that's what he attacked with, and he was a fisherman. And another one of his flaws was anytime he had the opportunity to go fishing, like if there was a lake nearby, he would do that instead of anything else. So we were like by this lake trying to get to this new destination, and he was the only one that could like make this boat go. He was the only like sailor because he's a fisherman, and everyone had to wait for him to finish fishing before they could move forward.
So he had like super compulsion, a really hard compulsion to fight.
It's like super extreme. And the campaign we played was like in the town that the fisherman was from. And so he would like came through a door, like ready to kill somebody. And he was like, "Morning!" And then just like threw his fishing pole at him and killed him, like this super like violent act. And then like the mayor of the town heard him, and she was like, "Why are you here? Go home, go fishing or something." Like it was super intense. Like I could just imagine a fisherman with like red eyes, just like a shadow and a fishing pole, and all you hear is, "Morning, nice day for fishing."
Yeah, you're moving into Sling Blade territory at that point, right? The Billy Bob Thornton thing going on.
Little Shining moment. busting
It
through the
got
door.
super intense, and I wish I could steal that idea and say that I made up that myself, but I just stole a character from another YouTube show and just played on it.
It's so hard to come up with original ideas. So I don't ever worry about fully being like 100% original. I just try to do what I'm going to do really well. And then just know that there's another character probably just like mine out there somewhere. I don't worry about that part.
We talked about this whole thing on our podcast, a thing called imitate and innovate. So you see something you like and something's cool, and then you think you could do it in your own way and make it better. You know, you're imitating and innovating. So yeah, we wanted this whole thing. It's like everything's been done, right? So
it seems like it. Just the moment you think you're doing something original, like somebody will bring up something, you're like, oh yeah, I guess that it is kind of what I'm doing. Like
there's only so many concepts under the sun, but like you said, just like acting. I mean, people play the same characters all the time, but each person playing that part does it differently, brings some quality out that's unique and different. And even if it's just a matter of I can't do a voice that you can do, kind of thing, it makes that character immediately different for people.
Literally, you can watch 5 actors play the exact same character, like Batman. Look how different all those Batmans are, and they're all literally playing the same damn guy technically. So don't think you can't re-innovate and redo the same character concept again. I think it's if there's something you want to do, you just go do it. I think that's if there's a flaw you want to try, go try it. I think
absolutely. One of our players put on the Willy costume, the literal same exact costume, and still seemed to be a completely different person to everyone that was watching. Like they thought he was someone else. So even like literally doing some of the same stuff, just because you're a different person, like it comes off completely different, right? Yeah.
That's rough, man. Yeah, I'm trying to imagine if we could actually pull that off. Like, I don't think we've ever had to try that or given it a shot, but like pulling out an old character and redoing it. Or even an NPC, having that kind of venture in.
You mean as far as play a game with him?
Yeah.
Like take an old PC and play him again?
So like, let's say
I think we could.
It would be, well,
I did it once. I technically did it once.
You're saying with your own character?
Yeah. I did it one time.
Because I think that it's still you, but there's a distance in time, right? So you've changed as an individual, so your performance can be different. But I'm thinking more of like, if I played your character.
If you played my character?
Yeah.
Well, we see our DM do it a little bit because so I don't know if Turk knows this or not, but our 5e game that we're in is campaign number 5 for the same world. And we've been playing it for like 20 years, which is part of the reason why we are not big on audience participation in it, because it's our sacred cow.
It's your baby, right?
But every character we've ever played that's still survived in this world becomes an NPC, basically property of our DM. So then he pulls them out and he will role play them from time to time. So I see Levi get to role play as one of Clint's old characters, Aaron Leaftree, and I get to see him play as Alexander the Burning, and some of these other people. So we get to see our DM do it a little bit, but not so much, me and Jeff playing each other's characters, I guess.
It's a super cool concept, but I think there has to be like a good distance amount of time, especially people are watching, and like something like we do, if it had to be like a good time apart. And then even still that nostalgia would kick in, and then you would still just enjoy it for what it is, So I think so. Yeah.
I think you'd have to be really cool with somebody to be like, hey, yo, can I play your dude?
Right.
There's kind of an intimacy to that. That's the skin you were in for this whole time,
The one other time I encountered someone doing it, they were trying to play a trick on me in a vampire LARP. Now, in a vampire LARP, everyone is their character, and you got 50 people in a game. And so you're all walking around, mingling, talking to each other. It's a very different environment than tabletop. Well, my character was a gangrel, and I'd initiated a fight to the death with another gangrel. And so the clan elder was setting up this fight to the death between me and this other character. Well, and he was not somebody who was going to beat me. So there's a power that some vampires have where they can take the form and look like somebody else. So he hired somebody else to take his spot in the fight against me. And it turned out to be the prince.
Whoa.
Turns out the prince didn't do a very good job against me either, and I damn near killed him, and he had to break his Mask of 1,000 Faces for me to realize I was about to kill Montel Shane. So at that point, I'd mauled him for several aggravated damage, and he was like, okay, this whole thing did not work. And so that's the only other time. But the actual player of Montel Shame was not there. It was the player of the guy I was supposed to be fighting who showed up with the other guy's character sheet with and he played it, and I nearly killed him with somebody else's sheet. And so it stopped and it was fine, but that was the only time I've ever encountered it.
God, that'd have been a bitter pill to swallow.
I'd be timid. Like, you have to trust that person to be like, okay, yeah, you can play my character. Like, this is my baby. I played him for 6 months, like every week. Like, do not ruin. You know, well, don't go do something dumb and get him killed.
In the cases of LARP, we're talking characters that have been alive for years. Like, this guy was a guy who was Prince of the City, had been alive for 3 years at that point. Like, that's 3 years with a character I almost killed, not knowing any better. Like, it was bad, but luckily it turned out okay.
Running it. Oh.
Yeah, and someone else running it too.
That'd been heartbreaking.
The conversation back in the Ukram was hilarious when he hands it back. Goes, well, you've got 5 aggravated damage. And Montello, the guy playing Montello, goes, what the fuck did you do? He's like, well, it didn't go as well as I thought. He goes, I could get praxis called on me tonight, and this could be it. Like, he was like scared the rest of the night. It was pretty funny, but it was a tense moment.
Yeah, that I didn't even realize that happened. That's funny. Oh man, yeah. See, I don't know. I think I would steer clear of that just because there's way too many things that go wrong with that. Because people are pretty intimate about their characters. It's because I think even like we've seen people try this kind of concept before, where, hey guys, make yourself as Dungeons and Dragons characters.
Right. Yeah, that's hard to do.
And then you just try to be so cool, and it just turns super cringy. Like we had someone we used to play with who was like that, and he was all just about being the dark, brooding rogue who would, talk in like riddles and. But you never really got much out of him, and his character really never did much. It was really useless, and it wasn't fun. I don't even remember what his character's name was. Yeah, exactly, because he had no flaws. He was just trying to be cool.
He was that good, right?
I hate those characters. I've been guilty of playing a character like that a few times, so never.
We've been asked to on more than one occasion. Every once in a while, one of our friends that would run a game would come up with that idea, and we'd be like, "All right, cool, we'll do it." Like, I remember 2 specific different games where we had to do that in, and they were
one where we had to vote on each other's stats.
Oh. Yeah, that one was horrible. The other one wasn't so bad. We just kind of rolled what we wanted, but that's when we played the end. Were you there when we played the end?
Yeah,
I was thinking about doing like a character building session live on Twitch, which we were thinking about doing that people could be involved in, but we didn't know how to implement it properly. Like we'd just be sitting on stream talking, or like could we have people somehow help us with our stats, or like we didn't know how to do it properly. But what do you guys think about doing something like that?
I am. That's what I'm going to be doing for Zweihander next month. But it's a very different character creation process. It's total, everything is random rolls. So it's more just watch the spectacle unfold than it is anything else. But for making an actual D&D character, I've seen people do it. I don't mind it. I think some of it's kind of cool, but I don't know. It depends on what kind of game you're going to run after that point, I think.
Yeah. I think for your style game that you've been describing tonight, I think what a really cool way to do it would be to say people donate bits or whatever. You get a certain amount bid in. You get to be a part of the influencer of this character, like a specific one. So, like, if you got 5 characters coming in, the first 2 people that bid in get character 1. And the second 2 get character 2, blah, blah, blah. And then go through and just be like, all right, so here's what I'm thinking for this first decision that I want. Bing, I've got these choices. What do you guys think?
Yeah,
our influencers, you go back and forth.
See, I think Air Laser's got the right idea, and that was what I was going to say too. She says just chat during it, ask for input for backstory. If you're thinking about 1 or 2 things, like which skill should I take, guys, and just have them help you figure out kind of maybe what you ought to take, or throw out some maybe possible concept ideas here and there, like help you shape it in that kind of way. Because at character creation, it's such a lump of clay. Like even once you have the stats down and you have this idea in your head, like it takes a little while before it becomes like a full-fledged character even. So
at that point, some of that could be done there live though.
Yeah.
So I think there's a couple of things you could do. Like what you're describing is, just make subtle influences here, but it could also be like, let's realize the character in the chat. Yeah. So, all right. So I've got a dude, he is a city guard. Why is he a city guard? Is he a city guard because of duty? Is he a city guard because, he's an adventurer by heart, but he just couldn't get out there? Like, oh, what's his motivation on that? Okay, so you give me a little seed of an idea. All right, so we got that. So who's the dude who brought me into the service? Okay.
Right.
All right, so like, what are they like? Oh, blah blah blah. Let's talk. And I think you could just throw out little bits like that and get crowdsourcing on your character concept. And over time, I think with that buy-in, a campaign built around that sort of buy-in would have an automatic audience.
Right. Because the people that really care to help
it.
Yeah, make the whole thing happen. Then they're intimately connected to those characters. Mm-hmm. So then maybe they won't try to kill us so much.
They may go after the other characters. I don't know. But I think that, then you're along for the ride a little bit more in the story and seeing how that character opens up and develops. And then, maybe every once in a while you could be like, hey guys, whoever it was that worked with me, I'm making this person, you have any things you want to tweak, bing, bing, bing. And then, level up time, that kind of stuff, maybe.
Yeah, level up time.
So we're doing we're like going in the dark for all the characters. So me as the DM for this next season, I'm the only one who knows everyone's class. Everyone involved knows everyone's race, and they know everyone's kind of like costume-ish, but they don't know their classes. So like, we could end up with like 3 sorcerers, and then like it's just going to be hectic, like we don't know 3 warlocks. I mean, so like everyone's going in dark. No one this whole season was allowed to tell anyone else what their race or their class was going to be. So it should be a lot of fun. So we were going to do like building on stream, or we're going to do it in the dark. And the crazy thing is that we got the idea to do this from watching your guys' Monday Night Wisdom Check. We were like, let's watch them, and then you guys were talking about this, and like, yeah, we're doing that next season.
Yeah, 100%. We totally did.
Yeah.
I'm of mixed opinions on it personally.
That's a mixed opinion. I'll tell you, it can change the way that your party moves forward. Like when you don't have that immediate knowledge of kind of who each other are, if you come in with this idea that like you guys are just meeting and you have to get through that initial familiarity, like it does maybe you do have to maybe slow down a step and take that initial step first and make sure you're taking that initial step, because people will come in with wildly different ideas of what they're doing. Mm. Right. So it can make it a little harder for a party to gel, I believe.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's going to be, it takes a lot on the DM to say, okay, here's a concept that's been pitched to me. Let's tweak them a little in this way or that way to make sure that these things actually fit together. Not necessarily the classes and stuff, because as we were discussing the day, like a DM can really tailor their story around the fact that there are some holes in the party makeup and whatnot. But more
like if there's no healer in a dungeon, you leave more potions laying around.
Right, exactly.
Etc.
Healing wands, whatever you got to do to get over that hurdle.
Mm-hmm. But I think if you have clashing motivations and clashing temperaments in characters that aren't clashing in a way that's going to create good story, but are just going to be disruptive, that's when you have to watch out. Because like, if I don't know what you're making in terms of character concepts, I have no reason to believe that I shouldn't play, like a wholly perfect, clear cut paladin guy. And then I get in the party and I find out there's like an entire party of pirates. Like, fuck. Yeah, well, I guess I'm not adventuring with you guys.
I mean, if I was a DM, then that cleric would be captured by pirates on a ship. Yeah.
So let me ask you this: is
going on.
As somebody who's going into this as a DM, did you tell your players what the general tone of the game was going to be? Did you say like this is going to be a overseas adventure or a over mountain adventure? Or
I gave them like a concept of like an overarching goal that everyone was going to have and how they were going to be meeting up together, right? So everyone kind of knows where we're going to be going moving forward. Not to say each episode and each week, there's going to be like different stuff going on, but there's going to be like an overarching kind of like direction that everyone's going to be moving in, so they know that much, right? And they all kind of converse like, I'm getting this costume and this costume, so like, okay, so you're going to be some kind of, this thing. Like they kind of get that, so they're like, but they don't know exactly classes and stuff like that, Okay. Another like problem I was having though is, whenever a character comes to a DM, they're like, I'm this, I've been working overseas for a long time as this crazy seafaring, arrow shooting person, and I've trained with the best people, but I'm level 1. It's kind of like, well, and did you really train for that long? That's kind of always something I've had like an issue with. Yeah. And how do you get over that huge, just like hole in story, right?
Well, I was the chosen one in my people, and I ran an entire kingdom, and everyone bowed down to me. But I don't know how to balance a checkbook. Shit.
Yeah, I'm level 1. Yeah.
Yeah.
I destroyed 10 dragons, but I have 2 cantrips.
And 3 hit points.
Yeah. So sometimes people we did an entire wisdom check episode on backstories, and we definitely tackled that kind of idea in there, that some things you can't marry to a level 1 or starting character sheet, depending on what kind of system you're in. Like, you just have to go back to those people and be like, okay, we gotta talk about some of this, or as our DM said, that's just what people believe. He believes he worked with the best guy. He was really training with a con man who barely knows how to fire a bow, but he sold him this idea that he trained with the quote unquote the best, and now he's only a level 1 bowsman. He'll get better and realize it was a con over time. Like, you just believe it.
Yeah, that's a fun concept. And I think you could also kind of tease that a different direction. Like, you can have the super important badass that's been like cursed to be like some nobody. Like, well, I did know all this stuff, but now I'm a loser.
Like, one of the cool things that we were talking about, like one of our characters got put into a genie lamp, so now he's going to come back as a genie. So this whole story that he tells about how he did this whole crazy thing and killed this big baddie and all this other stuff, and then got put into a genie lamp like that, we actually have evidence of that, and that actually happened, right? And so him being this genie is why he's going to go back down a couple levels, because he's lost some of his ability because of this. So it's cool to bring back old characters in that fashion, because we actually know what happened and we know why that they're this level or that level. So bringing them back around and them having these certain flaws of being trapped in a lamp, which we don't know how to completely implement yet, is really cool. That's one of the perks of doing what we do. Just having that proof and being like, how did my character act? Wait, I have that highlight on Twitch. I can go back and watch that.
It's been so useful for this campaign. It's just going back and rewatching the entire episodes. Like, I know so much more about this game.
Yeah, like, because week by week, if someone misses a week, say, then it's like, you just go back and rewatch the stream. You won't, you remember what happened. Or like, if you forget the name of like an important NPC, go back and watch the stream, dude. It's all there. Before we were streaming it, like, you just had to remember and like write it down, and like each week you'd be like, crap, what happened last week? I don't even remember. It's all there now. It's laid right out in front of you. Yeah, it's.
I was going to say you guys have the advantage of playing weekly, but then I remembered you're drunk. So,
how important is that watch back for you guys on Monday? Do you get back on there like, what the hell did we do
the next day? Like, I'm like, oh, good, because sometimes I wake up feeling like crap. And I'm like, shit, did I embarrass myself last week on camera? Like, so I go back and watch it. But so far, like, we do a really good job of just staying polite and not like getting super crazy, unless we bring someone in and they puke out the door on mic. That's kind of like the craziest thing. I mean, besides, Fishy puking into his cup and then drinking it.
He did.
Oh no!
I actually sense. I might have clipped that for you.
Yeah, so it wasn't like an outrageous amount of puke, but it wasn't.
He totally did.
Yeah, he spit back into his cup. Yeah. So then his character from that point moving forward was Octavius the Barf Drinker. Like, he had a whole title now because that happened on stream. Yeah,
it totally did.
And it was like our top viewed Twitch clip. Of like for a long time, and like we would go and talk to other people and be like, yeah, we're the Grouch Couch, and they're like, oh yeah, you're the guys with that guy who like drinks barf. Like, we became known as that because
it's true
of how intense it was. Yeah, like going into other people's streams and stuff, they're like, oh yeah, you got that barf drinking guy. It's just it became a whole thing.
It did.
I had not
I was there live. I saw that one happen too. I was like, oh dude, that's too much.
There's been a lot of stuff I've thought about with us, recording ourselves and things living in getting tongue-tied forever. I'll just use a different word. Puking into a cup on the internet forever is not one of those things I thought would happen to me. I'll have to be careful when we're drinking on stream every once in a while.
Yeah, you are immortal now online for drinking puke out of a cup. How does that make you feel? Like, what happens whenever your kid gets older and sees that? It's a trip for us sometimes.
It's going to be wild, man. This stuff's going to outlive us,
Yep, it could very well could.
Wow.
See, speaking of thing. This is a nice little segue for this. I have this sitting here, and this is completely a related but completely unrelated topic. So I had to go into, I have a son who's 14. I have 3 kids. I have 2 sons, 1 daughter. And the oldest one, I had to go in to talk to him about something earlier today. And you never know what you're going to find when you enter your son's room, right? So I walk in there today, and this is what is on his desk. He did some original art for us for Wisdom Check. So I'll take an actual picture of this later. It's I don't know if I can get it on the screen very well, but so I saw that in there. So Chase, if you're watching, go the fuck to bed. Bedtime.
Dude, that's cool, man. If I ever have a kid, man, I hope he freaking makes Grouch Couch fan art. That's so cool.
He's already a better artist than I am. So
yeah,
he's already better than I am. Wow. So I just wanted to share that live with you guys at some point
really
tonight.
cool,
I was going to do it at the end, but since it came up with our kids talking, I was like, this is a great time to go ahead and just show that off. So.
He's like, yeah, man, that's cool, dude. That's super cool. Heck yeah.
Yeah, I guess I never expected to be turned into fan art.
Yeah, you have been. It's true.
So yeah, we were talking about flaws, right? So
right.
I guess
I don't know. I think that one thing that even whenever we started playing Dungeons and Dragons, we came up with the name Drunks and Dragons, and we really didn't think it was gonna like turn into what it is. Like and how quickly it did. Like people really want to make us drink. Like and we thought like no one's gonna want to do this. Like, you know what I mean? And they're like, oh, dude, if we donate some bits, they're gonna drink. Let's do it. And then just people just spamming it, especially on the Sunday fun days. Like it's become this crazy thing. And going into it, we never thought that it would be, what it has become.
I think first time viewers, the first thing that people will ask, I know the first thing that went through my mind the first time I tuned in, and I caught you guys pretty early, episode 2 or 3-ish, I think, for season 1. I caught you guys and started watching from there. And the first thing I'm thinking to myself is okay, how much of this is them acting drunk and how much of them is really drunk? And is that really alcohol they're drinking? Or is this all just kind of a cool, fun concept stage?
Ruse.
But no, I'll tell you what, by episode, I think it's the second or third episode I watched, he barfed in the cup of drink. I was like, no, this is legit. Like episode 2, I think I watched, he passed out and Zyril, the druid, had to hit him in the head with his damn staff to wake him back up. Yeah. I was like, nope, these guys are legit. They really are. And I think then once you know that it's true, then it's like, well, let's see how much they can handle. Here's 10 more bits. It's another 10. Like, I think at that point, people are almost maliciously like just seeing how much you can handle at that point.
Yep. We make jokes a lot about how we get paid to drink, but then whenever we explain the whole situation to people, people literally give us pennies to like drink, and like we like to live it up, like we're getting paid to drink, But it's a lot of fun though, and I think that even from experience, bringing in people to try and do this whole thing with us, like, and then seeing the way that their bodies react compared to the ways that ours do. Like it's insane. Like,
well, you become drinking athletes, I guess, at this point. High altitude training, the whole 9 yards. You guys ought to implement a die roll to see how many drinks you have to have.
Right?
They'd be in trouble, man. Had to do that every time.
I know
like
y'all
a roulette
watching. Don't be getting any ideas. I'm looking at y'all watching right now.
Have like 4 shots in a little lazy Susan. A couple of them are good, a couple of them are terrible. Have to spin it around.
We did videos like that. Yeah, we did on the Grouch Couch YouTube. We did trivia, and if you got the answer right, the person telling the trivia would drink it, and if you got it wrong, you had to drink it. And we did like habanero peppers and jelly and like all kinds of just weird stuff.
Oh no!
Yeah. So we did that. Yeah.
And that is something we should probably take note too. That your Grouch Couch YouTube videos are not Dungeons and Dragons. It's a lot of you guys just as friends hanging out, just doing crazy potato sack races or whatever the heck you decide to do that week. Like all kinds of crazy stuff out there.
This last Sunday, we did things in slow motion. We did like a whole bunch of slow motion stuff. So we got our like fluorescent light bulbs, our dead ones, and smashed them on each other. And we slapped each other with eggs. And we're going to run it all back in slow motion. Yeah, and it was a lot of fun. So it's nothing new with Dungeons and Dragons, but it's coming out Friday.
Okay, I was gonna say I don't think I've seen that one drop yet, so I hadn't seen that one yet. So that's something to look forward to.
So what's motivating this? Just
what's motivating?
Shits and giggles? I mean, because that's where I would be coming from. But
okay, so we want a lot of people will be like, it's cool watching that video, and they'll tell us and stuff like that. So in our minds, we're distracting people for a limited amount of time from their crazy lives, just to watch us beat each other up or like get drunk and fall over or smash things, right? So we're distracting them from a certain amount of time. So that's kind of what fuels the whole thing. We want to show people something funny to make them laugh, and then like they can, come back to us and be like, that's kind of where the whole thing came from. So
I was like, when we were talking to Satine, she was saying that every channel should have something that they're doing like what is their goal with what they're doing.
Right.
And like, it was a good piece of advice. Like, I think we have to sit down and really think about what specific thing we're trying to do. I think with a wisdom check, we've kind of got a good angle of like, trying to help people get into the hobby, break down some barriers of entry that maybe they're, showcase a lot of the stupid mistakes we've made over time and like, help people get along. And then also to, cross promote. But, it sounds like your stuff is definitely, bringing up a little bit of light and levity into an otherwise kind of challenging day to day.
Yeah, absolutely. Our Twitch stream, the goal of that is to build a community together and do something fun together. Mm-hmm. But when it comes to our YouTube videos, it's definitely just distracting people, especially our podcast. Like that was our goal the first time. Because like when I'm at work and I have nothing to listen to, I really like the day just drags. But if I have podcasts to listen to, then I have, it distracts me the whole time. So that was like our big goal, just to talk and just make jokes and be funny for an hour so people could get through their work, for an hour. That was like the biggest goal for the whole thing. Yeah.
Nice.
Absolutely. Even Dustin was like, thank God, the podcast. Now I can get to this 12-hour shift.
I did. I watch a lot of you guys' stuff while I'm at work. Because I don't know if this is just a thing, but like for me, but my Twitch app on my phone is shit. Like I do not care for the Twitch app at all. Like I use it to try to watch it, like, and Air Laser's in here, so I have to use my phone. So that's when I'm logged in as Plague State. If you see me talking as Plague State, it's because I'm on my phone at work usually. Yeah. And so like I think she's on usually while I'm still at work. So like sometimes I have to like try to log in from there and try to type with my thumbs and just give a little shout out like, hey, I'm here trying to watch, but this app is crap. But YouTube runs brilliantly on my phone. It's obviously there's been more invested in that. So I can watch your guys' YouTube content, and maybe that's a good reason for us to keep putting ours out there into the YouTube space as well, is because on mobile phones it works so much better than the Twitch app does.
100%. People like with the podcast were mad because we haven't put it on Spotify yet, and they're like worried about their data because not a lot of people have YouTube Red, so they can't lock their phone. And so we were thinking about putting it on Spotify and stuff like that. There's a whole program that's distributes music because I'm a musician firsthand. So I know there's a program called DistroKid that will give out podcasts and stuff like that to all the music listening platforms. And so we're thinking about doing that now that we're at episode 10, and we're working on getting a sponsorship too, which is really cool. I'm not allowed to talk about it yet, but the podcast has been a lot of fun. Yeah, and it's crazy because we just sit there and just talk, and it's me and Fish, and we lose track of time. We try to keep it under an hour as best we can because that's like what YouTube wants. But like sometimes we go into an hour and 20 minutes, and we're like, oh crap, it's been an hour and 20 minutes. So yeah,
it's tricky. But those are good. If you can just get on there, chat, and have no clue what time it is. We've definitely had some of those chats. Look down, we're like, oh shit, it's like 12:30, man.
Absolutely. And we like talk out like a lot of like Drunks and Dragons stuff on there too. So like a lot of the people that watch like will listen to that, like you guys, so then they could say post that on like our ideas and like whatever else we have going on. The crazy thing though is that people like won't comment on the videos, but they will message us directly about things that we said and things that they liked in certain videos. They message us directly, and we're like, why don't you comment on YouTube videos? Like people are so afraid to like put their opinion out publicly about something that they like, and it's insane to me how that happens.
I try to put actual comments on videos.
You do absolutely.
I try to. Sometimes I do it. Like I'll do that when I'm in a Twitch chat too. I'll say something just to try to see if I can get other people to start talking. Like it's part of what I consider my community service to be when I go from channel to channel, is I start talking to see if I can get other people to engage and start talking as well. So
one night, like our whole chat was full of like people talking about Harry Potter. I don't know if you remember that. It had nothing to do with our Twitch stream.
Sometimes they don't. Like we could have a whole conversation going on in chat right now that have nothing to do with anything we're talking about. They're staying on topic. They're doing good tonight. But sometimes I look down at chat and I'm like, these guys have a whole sidebar conversation going on over here that I don't know what it is.
Well, that's cool though. Like
it is.
I like people having a chance to kind of build community with one another and develop that up.
And that's definitely what we're doing on our Discord.
We'll look down and people are like asking someone else like how like such and such like this thing happened that they were talking about the week before, asking how it went. And like that's the type of stuff that warms my heart. I'm like, what? Oh man, that's cool. Like they don't know each other outside of this Twitch chat, so like they meet up and talk to each other about certain things in the Twitch chat, and it's like that's so cool, man. Like someone's like, yeah, how did your vet appointment with your cat go? And I see that in the chat. I'm like, What? Dang, that's cool.
Oh yeah, Air Laser was saying they were discussing whether your character Willie was more like Dumbledore or Gandalf.
Yeah, that's how it started. And then everyone was talking about what house they belonged in and what type of wand they would have, and they just went off about Hogwarts. It was insane.
And that's where I'm too old. I'm too old for Hogwarts. It was a little after me.
It was just after.
But I'm taking my kid to Orlando Friday. We're going for. You won't. I guess I should go ahead and mention this. You're not going to see me on Wisdom Check for the next 2 weeks. I'm going to be here. I'm going to be in Disney, living that Star Wars Galaxy Edge life. Harry Potter
be Disney
world
for 2 weeks.
Man. 2 weeks. Me and the kids and the wife we're all going down there. So you won't see me on here for the next 2 weeks. I'll miss the next Everstorm game as well, and I'm very sad about that. But
yeah, we're just gonna party wipe again. It'll be fine.
They're gonna party wipe without me. You need me. You can't admit it though. But no. So yeah, it's Harry Potter wise. So my kid is big into that stuff, and my wife was. She, even though she's our age, like she read all the books and was into it. I never did though. But he's into it. So I have to learn more about it.
There's just something about immersing yourself in a different fantasy world, where you can just imagine crazy things happening. That's what it's all about, And I think Hogwarts plays a big point in that, right?
Yeah, it grabbed a different slice of people that maybe weren't into some of the other kind of, geeky, nerdy things. I mean, because there's different slices in the geek world out there, right? You got your Whovians and your Trekkies and your D&D folks.
I hadn't considered this. You were talking about it a little bit. Do you think that Harry Potter has a lot to do with the success of 5e? Do you think that those people hitting at the right age to like hop into 5e when it came out? Like you talk about the big boom that 5e's had for the community.
Yeah.
Like, I guess is it piggybacking off Harry Potter?
A big influence, especially in my generation. Harry Potter probably had a big influence on the fantasy genre, like in general. I think there's a lot of people that without watching it or reading the books or whatever wouldn't be into Doctor Who and stuff like that. And even Star Trek. Like Star Trek, I feel like in my generation, like the new generation or whatever had like a huge influence. And like, so a lot of people are more open to joining other different stuff and joining Dungeons and Dragons and stuff like that, just because they're more familiar with it. Right?
Yeah, there's different styles. Yeah. Because I mean, you think about like in this kind of era, you've had a lot of the young teen movies, like so the like what am I thinking of here? Like the Hunger Games, Harry Potter, these coming of age stories that are now in a fantasy kind of twist,
right?
An adventure kind of stuff. And like when we were younger, we had those movies, but they were of a different type. It was like It or like Willow, Hobbit, Lord of the Rings,
right.
So like I think we were more geared towards pure Tolkien-esque fantasy, high fantasy kind of stuff. Whereas I think now, like you're saying, there's different slices of geekdom out there. So you're probably right. I think that there is probably more acceptance of a wider berth of gaming topics. I
mean, you're just talking about a whole generation of people who grew up with Harry Potter, like every year reading another major novel about a wizard in a wizard school, like, and then 5e comes out. Like, I guess that's a far more natural transition than probably what I had thought of in our previous talks about why 5e is just so damn popular. Like, why we're seeing a mainstream, sort of tabletop renaissance right now. Like,
there's not only like Star Trek and Lord of the Rings now, like there's so much more, like, because of course, I mean, everybody loves Star Trek and Lord of the Rings. We're talking Dungeons and Dragons, right? But there's just so much more. And in music talk and music history, there's this thing called bubblegum, right? And so Harry Potter would be the bubblegum of Lord of the Rings. And it's weird to say that, but it's almost like easier. Harry Potter's easier to take in than Lord of the Rings is, because it's seen in like a higher light, right? So and I feel like bubblegum has really helped popularize the whole fantasy genre. Even when it comes to like rock and roll music, there's a kind of like bubblegum going from metal to like the Foo Fighters. Foo Fighters is considered bubblegum compared to regular metal music, right? And so it's this whole thing. Yeah, I don't know. Sorry, I can go off.
No, that's actually really interesting.
That's kind of what I was getting at with this. Is like I hadn't thought about that till we just were talking about it. Like, man, I bet that explains a lot, because it's a huge thing. Like, even people you don't expect to be into like fantasy stuff are into Harry Potter. Like, it makes a very easy transition for people that we didn't have growing up.
I think Harry Potter has some qualities to it that make it an easy transition. For one, it's set in the real world.
Right.
Real world plus, so like it's immediately accessible, and then it's a kid's perspective. Everyone's been a kid, so like, you have a couple things going for you that are a little different. I mean, with Lord of the Rings, I haven't met an elf before. I don't know what it is to be the son of a king. Like that just doesn't happen. So yeah, I think we got here. I just love Patrick Stewart. Yes, Patrick Stewart is the bomb.
The new Picard's gonna be pretty good, I think.
Oh, I can't wait. It's gonna be good. It's gonna be so good. It's a good chat.
It has been a good one. I think we're hitting a good part here where we can start working on a few outros, and we got apparently an end scene there. We got to make sure we're getting pretty close. We're at almost 10 till midnight, so we're pushing in pretty close.
15 till 10 on my side, but I'm 2 hours earlier than you guys.
It's true. It's true. You are. Show's just about to start for you, and we're about to wrap. So
I didn't even think about the Matrix being part of that equation too. But yeah.
Well, I think Matrix hits more in like the sci-fi section, but I guess like Star Trek is sci-fi as well as being.
Well, that's because Jeff worked really hard to forget about the Matrix after the third one. He likes to forget they ever happened.
Those last two.
When I think about the Matrix, I always think about it like each Matrix being based on a certain kind of religion. Did you ever see that? Like that's Neo, the first one is Neo, so it's the one. Neo, and he's supposed to be Jesus coming and saving everybody, and then everyone's like Buddhism, and then like it's always think about Matrix, like they just stole religion for their story.
They had a lot going in there. I was like, oh, it's gonna be so good. There's so many of these little allegories and stuff, but they're singing together. Nope, none of that stuff.
No,
just dudes without freaking windshields shooting in machines that have nowhere to, and guardrails that are at their ankles. Like, I'm not gonna get started. We're just gonna
moving on.
We have a whole nother episode for a Matrix rant sometime when we could we're just gonna sit back, give Jeff a mic, and just let him go for an hour about everything wrong with the Matrix.
Okay,
man, it's bad. It's real bad.
He's got some traumas there. He's got to work out.
They're making a fourth one, man.
They are really?
Yeah,
there's a fourth one coming. Oh shit,
that's horrible. Well, you know what, guys? Thank you for having me on tonight. This is cool. I was looking forward to this for a long time, and it's cool to just sit back and talk about a lot of this stuff, get like second opinions, and like it get like even just watching this podcast by myself, and just like watching you guys talk about stuff, it really does kind of like spark ideas in my brain, like some things that get said on this podcast. So all of you watching right now, you better follow these guys because it's fun.
Thank you very much, man. I appreciate you coming on, and like it's a really awesome compliment. Like I'm glad that some of our nonsense ranting we get onto and stupid ideas we put out are actually useful. And
it sparked ideas for us to do stuff. Yeah, 100%. Like going in dark and the whole class thing. Like it really has. Like
that was a comment made by a friend of ours, Bislab, who was actually talking about that in chat. I think during I don't remember which episode it was, but I do remember the conversation coming up where. I think it was backgrounds. We were talking with Naravi about backgrounds. I think it was when Bislab said that. But yeah.
There's been some really cool stuff on there. It's been really fun to bring other kind of concepts out and just figure out how other people are playing, what sorts of things that they're dealing with, if they're the same as what we've been dealing with. Like, because it's really easy to get kind of tunnel visioned into one place, one style and all that. And it's been
like playing with the same people for so long. You guys create your own playing, and I see that a lot in us whenever I watch other people. I'm like, wow, I forgot that was even an element in Dungeons and Dragons because we don't do that anymore.
Right? Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
Air Laser, real quick here. Jeff says that you need to make some ASMR videos.
God, this is always like my YouTube channel. That's all I get asked, and the other Discords I'm on. They want me to do ASMR. I just do it.
Just one of these days, you're going to just have to put out an ASMR track. So.
All right, whistle for us real quick.
So tell all the good people where they can find you.
All right, so the Grouch Couch is on Twitch. So we do Drunks and Dragons every single Sunday from 7 to like midnight Pacific Standard Time on Twitch. So twitch.tv/The Grouch Couch. We do Drunks and Dragons. We also have a YouTube channel. It's doing pretty well, and we upload videos every single week, including D&D Logic and random games. We beat each other up, and we have a podcast. And that's youtube.com/C/The Grouch Couch. and it's me and like 4 other guys. We all do all kinds of stuff. Me personally, I'm a musician as well, so on SoundCloud and Spotify and all other kinds of stuff like that. Even on YouTube, you can find music I make underneath Turkie Terror. And that's pretty much it. We're also on Instagram and Facebook as the Grouch Couch, and we do a lot of like behind the scenes stuff and like dumb funny videos where we throw apples at each other, and it's a lot of fun. We did a video recently where Fishy played Barbie Girl in the car and got in trouble for it because you don't give the wrong person the aux cable. So that was that.
Wow.
Wow.
They really are an entertaining group. They really are. So
I'm
definitely take time
to find them.
Go find them on the various platforms and give them a subscribe, give them a follow. You will not be disappointed. They do have a damn good time, and it's a good time watching them. And again, you can get highly involved in their D&D campaign. And is this coming week starting season 2 for you? Is that correct?
Yes.
Get 2 weeks of one shots, and now we're season 2.
Yeah, which is really cool. So the Liching Hour, I don't know if he's here, but shout out to him because he's going to do our intro. And hopefully we're going to implement some more crowd interactive stuff. And we really just want everyone to be involved. And it's all about just having a good time and make it a fun community. I think being distracted from regular world at least once a week is what fantasy is all about. So the more people involved, the better. Yeah.
Gotta get that escapism.
So Jeff, where can all the good people find you out there when you're not here talking to me?
Well, Monday nights, like you said, I'm here with you. And on other times, on the weekends, sometimes we play some Dungeons & Dragons, the 5th Ed game. And it is a fantastic game. If you haven't checked it out, the Everstorm is what it is. It's a homebrew 5th edition game that Dustin and I play with all the rest of the crew of the TT2KB. And it's as a high sailing, stuck on an islanding, heavy role play kind of game right now. So it's fantastic. And then
for a while.
Dude, it's been so long. We're never getting off this island. But then in addition to that, I do Let's Play games on YouTube. So I play a lot of Ark, Pathfinder, Kingmaker. I played Green Hell, Fallout 4 Frost. Basically, I just like to play games on absurdly hard difficulties, bash my head into a wall until I get through things, and let you guys be amused by my suffering and then eventual triumph. So if you want to check that out, it's Reign Survives. That's REIGN, like a king, survives. And I'm taking a little bit of a break on making new content right now, just because I've been focusing more on the TT2KB side, but there's over 100 videos on there, so rock it out. And Dustin, what could we find you doing?
Well, I'll tell you where you're not going to find me.
A super awesome member of this community, Dustin.
First and foremost,
in everybody's streams.
I am. If you got a stream, well, first and foremost, if you want to be promoted, of course, we joined a stream team here, so we are obviously helping out the Liching Hour, Air Laser, the Grouch Couch. We got Turk here with us right now, so I do, every time I see them go live, I'm in there, usually chatting it up, so you'll definitely find me around there. Maybe not so much over the next week while I'm in Disney World, but we'll see how that phone app works while I'm standing in line for space.
You put in work, son, but don't worry about it. Yeah.
We usually try to... Usually you would find me here on Monday nights with Jeff. The next 2 weeks, our DM Levi is going to be filling in for me, and it'll be Jeff and Levi. So we got, I think next week, we're doing voices. Is next week voices, or do you have a special guest next week, Jeff? You haven't confirmed it for me yet.
Well, I'm waiting for email confirmation on which day. Last I said, though, next week is going to be the appearance of Larry Elmore, legendary artist from Dungeons & Dragons fame. Did all the old art for the original stuff and Advanced Dungeons & Dragons.
What?
Huge name in fantasy art. And
cool.
He is coming on the channel to come
be here
with
maybe
us.
Next week. We've been sending emails and trying to get it pinned down, but it's going to happen soon. So
he is every bit the artist you expect. He's very in his world. So it's I'm going to get my email response back from him soon, hopefully, and we'll get that ironed out. So it's either going to be this upcoming week or the week after, and whichever week it's not, Levi and I are going to do a whole bunch of voice acting stuff, because that was something we didn't get a chance to do a ton of when we wanted to. So
everybody, next week, come back, hang out with Jeff and Levi, watch some Larry Elmore. Hopefully he'll be here. We can get that nailed down for sure. The week after that, come back and pitch them all the craziest fucking voices you can think of that you want them to do live on the air on the spot. Just improv voices.
The wizard.
Give it to them. Just give them all.
Give me a little taste of it and I'll do it.
So
Really? I'm a wizard.
So that's where I won't be for the next 2 weeks is here, as I am taking my family to Disney World and to Universal Studios for vacation.
We will miss you. You better send selfies in the Discord.
I will. You guys will totally get some selfies of me drinking some blue milk at Galaxy's Edge if a hurricane doesn't wipe that place off the face of the earth before I get there this week.
Fingers crossed. Yeah.
So there'll definitely be some selfies. When I get back, you'll find me playing online games, MMOs, with my online guild Plague, which I've been an officer of for over about 15 years now, at Plague State. Actually, somebody from my guild's on Plague State right now talking. Must be Malice. Hey, Malice, I saw you. Don't think you snuck in here without me noticing. You'll see us playing MMOs on there. We play a lot of PvP when PvP games are available. So you'll find me there a lot. You'll also find me on occasion running with the notorious DMG here on Twitch, where I have been asked to join that crew of DMs who got tired of always being DMs. So now we run games for each other, so we can be players every now and then. And so my dwarf just died in the 4E game, so I got to wait for another game to roll around to be back on there again. But so I'll have that coming up soon.
But
and then you'll find me here on TT2KB playing Everstorm someday again. Maybe Bowron's alive. Who knows? I don't even know what Bowron's doing right now. Levi won't give me an answer every time I ask him. He says he knows what Bowron's doing, but apparently as the player Bowron, I'm not allowed to know. And
I don't know why you asked me what my inventory was, but I have a feeling I'm not getting that back.
Yeah, I'm probably just stealing all your shit and I don't even know it. Speaking of character flaws. So that's about it. I don't think I'm missing anything right now. So let's go ahead and I guess say bye to everybody. Thank you everyone for tuning in.
Thanks everyone.
Bye.
Clint, whenever we're going to raid somebody, so make sure you hold on here because we are going to raid someone.
Damon.
It's been a good one. I really had a good time with this.
Goodbye, guys.
Had some great chat down there too.
Yeah, you know, I told everyone if they didn't show up tonight, I was going to delete their Minecraft server. So they showed up. They get to keep their Minecraft.